Oh, we are back. It is Plant-Based Life and Style with Elysabeth Alfano. I'm so happy to be back with you, everyone listening to me on radio and live on socials. Oh, but who cares about me? Let's bring in my guest, Bridgid Coulter. I am so happy to have you with me here today. Thanks for being with me.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited about this conversation. I love what you're doing and what you're promoting and talking about. So thanks for including me.
Well, I love what you do. I've been on your website looking at all of your designs, so many gorgeous designs. I want to hear about how you switched from acting into interior design, and you're very eco-friendly. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this one question right up front, because I'm a little bit like shocked. How the heck did I not know this? I'm doing research on you and preparing for the interview. Did you just get married?
Well, let's see. No comment.
No comment. Okay. Because I know you've been in.
I've been in a 28. Yeah, I'm in a 28-year relationship.
So that I knew. And then I thought this couldn't be right because I would have known this before. It was literally like 10 minutes before I started the show. I was like, this couldn't be right. I would have known this. Okay. Well, we'll get all into home life.
Get into that later.
Let's get into that later. Because home life is so important. It is a reflection of who we are and how we move through the world. But let's start before we get to what you eat. Because you are plant-based primarily, about 80-20. Let's get to your design work, because I'm so curious, as somebody who's 100% plant-based myself, will we be seeing more vegan materials? But let's start with you. How did you switch over from acting to interior design?
I think I've discovered that I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I just love to follow my passions, solve problems. And it really started for me probably when I was 12 years old. I always was trying to resolve a room. Every room I walk into, I'm always looking at the surface materials, the lighting, the positioning of things, the vignettes that people set up to kind of have moments with design. So I think it's just something that was always in my background, but I never thought of it as a career till a lot later. And while I was acting, you travel a lot, you stay in, simple hotels to lavish hotels. I love spas. So everything is designed in our design world, right? I saw that photo.
I have some pictures.
That bathroom is killer in the Palisades.
Isn't this just so? And
that's crazy, right? A bathtub, it's by a fireplace. You can't see the other side. But yes, what was your question?
I think I have maybe I don't have the bathtub by the fireplace here, but you are right. On the other side of this bathtub is a fireplace. It's so incredible. And I didn't want to interrupt you with these images for those lucky people who are listening to us online, but I do want to say it isn't just the Palisades and Santa Monica Canyon where you do these beautiful things outside of Los Angeles, but it's also for a homeless shelter. Here's a picture right here of a homeless shelter that you're doing. Just so amazing, the work that you do. When did you realize, I've got a knack for this?
I think you always question yourself as an artist. Artists are, we beat ourselves up and but I definitely found that it was something that just innate, I can see in 3D. So when I walk into a space that isn't done or a framed house, I can already see it done. Or if I look at plans, it stands up in my brain. So I think it was just natural that I would end up finding this career. And if I think about it, my mom was always doing design things. My grandmother was always, she had set the most beautiful home we had in Berkeley growing up. And doing the shelter, I just want to talk about that. That was with Upward Bound House, which is an incredible organization that does a lot of work for homeless. And this was a shelter we did on Washington, right near Glencoe. And homeless families get to stay in this for 90 days. They rehabilitate any issues they have, do some training, and then get them into permanent housing. So it's sort of an incredible program. And we created these space. I wanted it to feel like a super high-end hotel. They converted a motel room. And in that room, we did a lot with the space. And that's another thing I love about design is it creates sanctuary. It's the space you're in. It's your inspiration. And now more than ever, home is vital for us, right? So
yes, you must be seeing a surge with COVID of people saying, I need a healthier space. I need a streamlined space or a space that better reflects my vision of the world.
Yeah.
So how many clients are you seeing go eco-friendly? Because I want to take a quote from your website here. You say that the use of natural, sustainable, and repurposed materials whenever possible is integral to our practice. We will create designs to inspire conversation, demand reflection, bring delight, engender hope and respect for the planet. Yeah. So are you seeing more people are getting with that program?
I think so. And especially as you show them that uh, eco or sustainable design choices can be stunning and can be beautiful. Because, as much as people want to do good for the world, and I work with amazing clients who really want to do well, they want their home to feel beautiful. They want to have the nice things. And one thing you mentioned is that now there's tons of materials. There's sustainable, there's vegan leather that has a great feel and a great touch. So there's a lot you can do to create the same look, the same quality, use sustainable products, sustainably harvested wood, and making sure that the company I do a lot of local printing of my own textiles. There's so much you can do. And then one other thing I've talked about this before. I don't know if you saw the quote, but one thing that I really discovered, one of the most sustainable things you can do is build a great piece the first time that is going to last generations. So a sofa that's framed correctly with sustainable woods, really well hand-tied springs, you cover it in the right fabric, it's going to last a generation. It'll be generations. It can be passed down, recovered. That is also sustainability, building it right and not having this fast, there's fast fashion. There's also fast home, which, frankly, goes into a landfill and is part of this whole cradle to cradle. I don't know if you saw, that book, Cradle to Cradle. And there's a lot of things about sustainable that you may not even think. It's integral to the way I work when I choose a material, when I think of anything. So I think clients are super happy when you explain to them, okay, I kind of filter it in. It's innate. It's integral to what I do. But when you tell them, oh, by the way, we've used LED lighting in all of your fixtures, and we've done these, used a piece that was vintage and antique and repurposed that with this use. People are excited to know that.
I think people really connect to this sense of, ultimately where you live is a reflection of you, and it's a reflection of how you move through the world. So I think people are very happy to know that they're saving energy or they're doing their part for the planet. This is reflected in diet, but it's also reflected, as you say, in furniture. When you do it right the first time, then you're not, making something disposable, which is always sad to me to see this kind of waste going on to make it just to throw it away.
Agreed. And we're in this weird time. So I think it's important to double down on that and do as much as we can to counter how much waste we have to deal with at the moment.
So incredibly true. So there's waste in so many ways. There's waste from our home. There's food waste. There's also waste in the energy of not working efficiently. That goes for light bulbs as much as it goes for people. I speak for myself 100. There.
Yes.
And I noticed you've started something called Blackbird House. I love this concept. Tell me what this is.
Oh, thank you. Blackbird is just a passion. I'm so happy with what we're building. It is a collective for women of color and allies. So we have probably 80% women of color and then 20% allies, men, women. It is a productivity, wellness, and community-based place. It's a safe space. It's a haven. We had a physical space for our pilot location. We moved out May 1st because of COVID, obviously, but it was always our pilot location. And then we have our flagship that we're planning to move in February 2021. So, we're doing all the protocols and all the things to get back into safe space and see what that'll look like. But the core of what we are is a space to connect, enhance, create access to opportunities, highlight, and create a better life, a better place for us and others.
Yeah, I just love this because it's we work, but with a much more tailored mission for equality and connection and wellness. And, it all starts, and I'm saying this to myself, not to anyone else. I'm reminding myself as I speak, it all starts with self-care. Can't do much when you aren't taking care of self. And this is one of those communities that help people do that. So I just love that it's there. And so when will it kick off officially?
We kicked off last year. This time we plan to reopen February 2021. So we have several months to prepare. We have a temporary space right now. We have a partnership with an incredible co-working space also owned by women that we have a partnership and a passport with for people who need to space now. Because as you're seeing, work from home is incredible, and they're for 2 to 3 days a week. And then a couple days a week, you need to get out. You used to be able to even go to a coffee shop, and we don't have that right now. So I think community space is going to be so vital, a place to work, a place to connect. And we really made ours safe for women. It's really centered on women. It's centered on women of color, but we have such great allies who are part of us and make it even better. Because in my opinion, the future for us, the future for, as we're seeing the racial injustices repeatedly aired for us on television, we know that to get to the place where there's real equity, real equality, real inclusion, we have to do it together. And it's going to take allies and people of color together to get us to the next phase, which I hope is where we're heading. And I'm very optimistic that we are.
I hope we are too. And I love that you say that. I also hope that, sometimes I find myself going out a day here or there during COVID, and I'm like, oh my God, have I lost my skills for talking to people? I'm not sure I know how to do this anymore. Girl. It's a little bit, so I'm so glad that you're building this community so that we can hopefully get back together, and then we get back together perhaps even on better footing than we were before. That's really my goal there. And I love to hear that you've built this. Okay, we're going to take a break for radio. Oh, gosh darn it. But when we come back, we're getting into the food, folks, because I think it all starts with, again, self-care, taking care of ourselves. That starts with food. And we'll be right back on Plant-Based Life and Style. Oh, everybody on socials, thanks for being with me. We're going to take our little radio break here, but Bridgid, I love having you with me. I love your hair too, I should say. I love your hair.
Hawaii has humidity here is like, it's just doing what it wants, y'all. So
I love it. Okay, we're coming right back right now. Oh, it's Plant-Based Life and Style. Thanks for being with me, everybody. I'm Elysabeth Alfano, and Bridgid Coulter, interior designer, is here with me today. She's also primarily plant-based, so let's get into the food, folks, because we all want to know. Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't say your longtime partner of 28 years. We talked about it before, Don Cheadle. Of course, we know him, favorite actor. Oh, how we love him. Oh, how we love him. Okay, but you guys are primarily plant-based. Who influenced who in that decision, and who does the cooking?
Well, okay, great question. We both, I was a vegetarian for 10 years. So I did have cheese, like when my babies were coming up and all of that. And then we switched to plant-based. We kind of always intermittently did it. There may be weeks where it would be 100% plant-based. And then we really committed to it last year. We felt great on it. We just 100% were doing it. And now we kind of, like she said, we're flexitarian. So there is some fish that comes into the diet. But for me, plant-based is just invigorating. You feel better after you eat it. You feel clean. And, I have huge, hilarious stories. I maybe not go into it right now, but I'll tell you it later. So for cooking, we both cook. And, obviously with the pandemic and being isolated, we've been cooking straight for now it's 6 months, cooking at home every single day for 5 or 6 months. And I think we went out, ordered out 3 times over that time. Like, okay, we're going to take a break. But we really got into loving it because you go and you pick your vegetables and you know what you're putting in your food. And so for us, there's always a ton of vegetables on the plate. I love fruit, so I do eat a lot of fruit. And we grew up with our kids, they were raised, on breast milk and then vegan for the first 2 years. And we decided to let them choose at 2, like if they were interested in, and my daughter's still vegetarian, mostly vegan. And my son is flexitarian, we'll say. But, I think for us, cooking at home has been really fun. We both do it. Don's a really good cook, and he probably cooks a little bit more than me. But we kind of share who makes dinner, and we try to have lunch together, especially now that we're home all the time.
And so what's your go-to meal, either for Don to cook or you? Like, what's the go-to family meal? Like everybody says, Dad, you got to make me this.
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's like stir fry, probably a ton of vegetables, and then throw in some rice or some quinoa. And we'll throw in edamame, or we also love beans. I love beans. So good for you. We eat a lot of lentils is probably our favorite. But I would say, a big stir fry is pretty popular. Or cauliflower pizza.
Ooh, and do you make the dough yourself?
Yes, it's so easy. Just cauliflower.
In the dough?
No,
Like
there's just cauliflower.
what are you saying?
I'm saying it's cauliflower. I haven't made this in a while. It's actually super easy. The biggest secret is when you put the dough together, you kind of lay it out, you put it in the freezer.
Okay.
And then when you freeze it and then bake it, it creates this crispy, like amazing cauliflower crust.
I have never tried a cauliflower crust.
Okay,
you're sharing that with me. Okay.
Chef Leo, who did a lot of cooking at Blackbird, taught me this. And he is an incredible chef. He's been on those chef shows or whatever, but he was okay, I'm going to go back to food. But one thing we did at Blackbird that was really fun is we had all of these incredibly high-end events, and the food would be all vegan and people didn't know. So there'd be Impossible Burger, little skewers. And then I would, after they ate it, I go, oh, everything you ate was just vegan. And they'd say, no, because he made cauliflower cheese cashew cheese. And
so good.
You just didn't know the appetizers. Chef Leo, if y'all don't know, is like incredible. And he does complete vegan. He will also do other things for people who are not, but we were very lucky to have him curating our menus.
Oh, I love it when you can cook something so healthy and so delicious and people say, oh, I had no idea. And then you get rid of all the stereotypes, which is ultimately what we want for food and for people. So, okay, cauliflower pizza crust. You're going to share that recipe with me. I'm so into that. So if you are running around and you're busy with interior design, you don't have time for lunch, what's your favorite snack?
Walnuts and dark chocolate.
Together?
Yeah. Like break up pieces of dark chocolate and some walnuts. And, I'm getting my antioxidants. I'm getting my walnuts. That's pretty much my favorite go-to. And then also hummus. I love hummus.
Yes, I can never tire of hummus. Always so good. Was there a moment in time when you can remember where you said to yourself, that's it. I'm plant-based and that's the decision for me. Was there one event that happened or one sort of life activity where you said, yeah, this is good for me and my family?
No, I don't think we had a moment. I know that when we we'd been talking about it, we really wanted to, we just were like sick of, what meat does to the planet if you're not sustainably raising meat, and fish if you farm it, if you don't wild catch it. There's so many things that it contributes to. We're really passionate about the environment, and we know that a plant-based diet is better for our world. It's better for global warming. Planting in and of itself is soil regenerative. I work with one of our members is Kiss the Ground, and they do incredible work with soil regeneration and how it is changing global. So there's just so many things that we're passionate about with the environment that we have to do for our children, our grandchildren. So I think that's the biggest inspiration of it for us. And so as we approached it, one day we just realized last year, we really didn't even put meat in our food. We didn't really but being flexitarian, I do, like I said, sometimes I do have a protein that is animal-based, but plant-based, I love it. It feels good, and it's delicious.
And it's delicious. That's delicious. The thing. Oh. Yes. Well, I'm wondering if you can give us a couple tips about self-care, because again, here we're talking about diet and having that connection between your personal life and your diet and your home space. And I'm wondering if you have a couple, maybe 3 tips of your plant-based self-care.
Okay. I love self-care. Part of why as I discussed with you earlier, part of why we started Blackbird was to put that right in the workspace. So we have a meditation loft in the middle of our space. So you go in, you can walk in there, and that's just a silent space to work. We also have meditation and yoga teachers. So for me, movement and breath work is, maybe that's one thing, but to me, it's kind of both. So breath work can be as simple as just taking breaths, pausing, feeling it, taking it deep in, holding it. And it just changes. We do it before our company meetings, and it connects us, even though we're all working remotely. Like right now, I feel like we all ground and we just connect on the planet. So breath work is one of my favorite things. And then movement, whether it's yoga, Pilates, dance, or simply taking the dogs, daily dog walks in your neighborhood. So you're healthy. Out in nature. That's healthy. And then the other self-care really is is, I guess, the breath work, the meditation, and then eating nutritious food.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Yeah.
Food is medicine. And so we really work to be conscious, cutting out sugar as much as possible, only getting natural sugars, or very, very minimal sugar. As we know, there's so many studies about the dangers of sugar, and sugar can be a big part of a vegan diet. So we have to be careful because it's vegan, but we want to limit it to natural sugars. And that's one that is my challenge. And if you cut sugar out for a few weeks, you don't even crave it.
Yes, you are singing my song. We're going to come right back after break. Oh my gosh. Well, that actually is the end of our segment. Okay. So now we don't know. Hold on. I'm not letting you go. So the radio's over, but we're still live in the podcast and all this great stuff.
Hello,
so I love what you're saying about movement. I feel that one of the hardest things for me during COVID has been like, oh gosh, I'm just circling my kitchen. I mean, that's my movement, and that's a awful exercise. So
it's not enough. Yeah.
It's not enough. I mean, okay, I love the walking the dogs thing, but are you like, what's your workout routine now that you're stuck at home?
Well, I do walk. The dog walk is 1 hour in the morning, and then maybe a 30-minute. It's serious, but to me, it's also moving meditation. And then for me, the yoga class is great. If you like to box, and you can do so many classes remotely now. You can open your computer up and take a class. You can sign up, and we have those. We do virtual classes with various teachers. We had a dance teacher, and we got them all over the globe. So you can find a recording on YouTube. There's just so much you can do. I think the biggest thing that happens with movement, and what I always recommend for myself, if you don't move, inertia is very powerful. As soon as you start moving, 5 minutes into doing some cat-cows, you realize, oh, this feels good. And then you want to do more. So it's just that first step. And especially as we get into our computers and we're so productive right now. We're getting so much done, but we're exhausted. And I think taking screen time away is important. And I try to do it it sounds like not like a lot, but I try to take 1 hour away for no screen time a day. And I know that sounds crazy. Like it should be a lot more than that, but I'm on it like 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yes. And stop Zoom meetings, people. Stop them. They're gratuitous and not necessary.
No, Zoom should be for cocktail hour.
Yes, that's what I think. I love how you roll. That's exactly what I think. Well, thanks for that, because it's always good to know, like, I'm not the only one going a little bit stir crazy here, and everyone's talking about a second wave in the fall. So
I know it's a lot.
It's a lot to take on. Okay, I know how tight and busy your schedule is today, so I just want one last question for you. Words of wisdom coming from your lovely mouth. If you're ever having a bad day, and some people have had a lot of them during COVID, what's the one phrase you say to yourself to get yourself back in the game?
That's a great question. Look, for me, I think the reality of the world right now, if you're a person with heart, if you're a person with any sense of humanity, and you care about yourself and others and your family and the society as a whole, this is a roller coaster, a wave of emotion time. And for me, I think I just let the emotion come. I feel it, say, okay, I see you. There you are. Yeah, this is hard, or a horrible thing happened. We have a lot of death right now. We have, the realities of this time, people getting sick, people doing really well. So accepting that, okay, I feel this moment of joy. I'm going to accept that moment of joy and appreciate it, not feel guilty about it. I feel this moment of sadness. I feel this moment of grief. It's real, but I also am still here. Like, we're here, we're breathing, we're lucky to be alive. How do we be of service? How can I be of purpose? And those are so there's probably a circle of phrases, not necessarily one phrase, but to me, it's feel your humanity. This is the best time ever. Back to interior design, our homes were our private sanctuaries that we didn't really share outside of our small group. And now we have to let people in. You're in, you see my room, you see, part of our world. And it connects us and makes you realize, like, the bridge can divide, but still we have to contain and create a safe space for our mental, physical, and nutritious health.
Yes, it starts with food, but it goes much more than that.
Yeah.
It's how we see the world, it's how we move through the world, it's our reflection in
Mm.
the world, in our interior design space, but also how then we go outside, hopefully, and deal with each other in these tricky times. Bridgid Coulter, I'm so glad that you joined me from
Thank
Hawaii
you.
today. It's
Aloha, mahalo.
oh, did you go to Hawaii a lot?
Yes, I have an office in Hawaii and an office in
Okay.
LA. We have a home here. So I work across the country, but Hawaii, I do a lot of projects. So I just did an install last week that I was so excited about.
Oh, how awesome. Well, great that you could join me here. This
Thank
interview
you.
is going to be all over the place, the Beat magazine and my podcast, Awesome Vegan. So, of course, if you missed any of this interview, you can always go to the Awesome Vegans podcast and you can get it there. Bridgid, sit tight. Don't go anywhere. Everybody else, I love you. Thank you for being with me. And I will see you tomorrow around 1 p.m. Pacific. Bye, everybody.